Hey guys, we are going to recap a movie called Sound of Freedom. Keep watching because it's a great crime movie. The movie begins in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, where a young girl named Rosio Aguilar is enthusiastically playing her drum and singing a song. Giselle, a former beauty queen, pays a visit to the Aguilar residence and engages in a conversation with Rosio's father, Roberto. Giselle asserts that she represents a child star agency and explains that she noticed Rosio's singing talent while at the market, expressing her interest in signing her. As the interaction unfolds, Rosio's younger brother, Miguel, enters the scene, capturing Giselle's attention as well. Roberto escorts the children to the studio, where they join a different group of kids. Giselle arranges a photo shoot session involving all of them and provides Roberto with the designated pickup time. However, upon his arrival at the scheduled time, he is met with an unsettling sight. The building is dim and vacant, instilling a growing sense of panic within him. We then see the children with Giselle loaded into a van and being hauled off to a new destination as sex slaves. In Calexico, California, Homeland Security agent Tim Ballard is organizing an operation to apprehend a notorious wanted pedophile and child predator, Ernst Oshinsky. The operation involves monitoring Oshinsky's activities as he begins to download a file related to exploited children. Tim's team of agents successfully gains access to Oshinsky's residence and apprehends him. Despite Tim's extensive efforts, which have led to the capture of nearly 300 pedophiles, he remains acutely aware of the unfortunate reality that locating any of their victims has proven to be an ongoing challenge. Tim devises a plan to extract information from Oshinsky about exploited children. In a risky move, he temporarily removes Oshinsky from his cell and pretends to share a common interest, attempting to gain Oshinsky's trust by posing as a fellow pedophile. As part of their scheme, they arrange a child procurement operation in which a child with the alias Teddy Bear, who is actually Miguel, is scheduled to meet Oshinsky. With the critical information obtained, Tim then instructs the officers to return Oshinsky to his prison cell. Tim and a team of agents proceed to the US-Mexico border, where Miguel's buyer, Earl Backman, arrives with the young boy. The agents apprehend Miguel, and Tim takes the opportunity to console and engage in a conversation with the child. He takes Miguel out for a meal, during which Miguel opens up about his harrowing experience of being abducted and imprisoned, spanning what appears to have been several months. Flashbacks reveal the distressing moments when Giselle and her accomplices brought terrified children for the purpose of sale, and Miguel's subsequent time in Earl's custody. Miguel confides in Tim, revealing that Rosio is still held captive, and he implores Tim to assist in finding her. He also shows Tim a protective necklace featuring the Saint Timoteo, which Rosio had given to him as a symbol of safety. Miguel is reunited with his father, Roberto, who expresses the emotional struggle of not having both of his children back with him. Tim, after this conversation, returns home to his wife Catherine, and they share a deep conversation. Tim and Catherine, who are parents to 6 children of their own, find themselves empathizing with Roberto's agony. This compassion fuels Tim's determination to pursue the dismantling of the sex trafficking network, despite his superior, Frost, advising against it. Tim's mission takes him to Cartagena, Colombia, where he discovers that the trafficked children have been relocated. In his quest to combat the criminal operation, he meets with a former cartel member known as Vampiro to explore potential collaboration. Upon gathering crucial information about a sex hotel in Thailand, Tim devises a strategy to establish a similar setup in Colombia, with the aim of attracting Giselle, whose real name is revealed to be Katie Juarez, and her associates. Tim and Vampiro arrange a meeting with one of Katie's associates to facilitate the transfer of all the children she has in captivity to the newly established location. After gathering more intel on the traffickers, Tim and Vampiro have a chat about the latter's personal history. He had spent time with a girl he believed was 25 years old, only to learn that she was 14 and had been trafficked since she was 6. This led to Vampiro attempting suicide, but he believes it's his God-given purpose to help rescue these children. Tim agrees. Tim receives a call from Frost, who conveys the unfortunate news that he cannot provide funding for the mission and encourages Tim to come back home. In response, Tim tenders his resignation and makes a solemn promise to carry out the mission to its end. Collaborating with Vampiro, they enlist the assistance of a dedicated officer named Jorge, played by Javier Godino, to coordinate a plan aimed at luring Katie and her associates to their designated location. The team arranges a beachside location where half of the children are assembled. During this operation, Tim intercepts one of Katie's henchmen, a man known as Carne, who is attempting to abscond with a young boy named Simba. In an intense confrontation, Carne's accomplice brandishes a gun, threatening Tim until Vampiro steps in to defuse the situation. As the remainder of the children are brought to the scene, and with assistance from the US Embassy personnel sent by Frost, a group of agents arrives and proceeds to apprehend Katie and her associates. Katie attempts to play the victim, but her charade is in vain. Following the successful arrest of the villains, the children come together to engage in play and song, a moment that Vampiro describes to Tim as the sound of freedom. Despite the rescue of 54 children, it is a bittersweet victory, as Rosio is not among those who have been liberated. Katie's accomplice is interrogated by Tim's team, and he divulges information upon learning of Carne's demise in his cell. He reveals that Rosio was sold to the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, specifically to a man known as El Alacran or the Scorpion. Jorge informs Tim that rescuing the girl from rebel-occupied territory seems nearly impossible due to the dangerous conditions. However, Vampiro proposes a plan for them to masquerade as medical professionals, opening up a potential avenue for the rescue mission. Tim and Vampiro navigate a boat along a river, but are eventually discovered by armed rebels. After a thorough inspection of their belongings, including the vaccines they carry, the rebels decide to take Tim with them. He is escorted to Scorpion's camp, where he reunites with Rosio, only to be coerced into participating in the production of cocaine. Under the cover of night, Tim patiently awaits the opportune moment when Scorpion and his henchmen are engrossed in drinking and singing. He seizes the chance to attempt the rescue of Rosio. However, upon seeing Tim, Rosio initially reacts with a scream of fear, but he manages to soothe her and guide her through the rescue operation. Unfortunately, Scorpion is alerted by Rosio's scream and investigates. He seizes Rosio once again, preparing to commit further harm, but Tim springs into action, engaging in a fierce struggle with Scorpion that ultimately results in Scorpion's demise. Tim then swiftly takes Rosio with him before the other men become aware of their boss's fate. Tim and Rosio make a hasty escape, with Tim utilizing a boat to reach Vampiro, who awaits them in a van. As they make their getaway, the rebels open fire, but their efforts are in vain as Tim and Rosio successfully elude capture. Prior to their farewell, Tim returns the St. Timothy necklace, originally given to him by Miguel, to Rosio. Afterward, she is discovered in the hospital by Roberto and Miguel, and their joyous reunion takes place as they bring her back to Honduras. Upon returning home, Rosio discovers a real drum in her room, thoughtfully provided by her father. She eagerly begins to play and sing a heartfelt song. In the concluding narrative, it is explained that the actual Tim Ballard's efforts in testifying before Congress played a pivotal role in the rescue of more than 120 trafficking victims. Furthermore, his work contributed to the establishment of new laws that promote collaboration between governments in the investigation of sex trafficking cases abroad. The final text underscores a distressing reality, emphasizing that there are presently more individuals being subjected to slavery than during the time when slavery was legally permitted. Notably, a significant portion of these victims comprises innocent children.